of the work that we do is policy work to limit the amount of toxins in the environment, locally, statewide, nationally, and internationally. One of the policies that we've affected in town is to limit the amount of, to the school district to limit, oh my lordy, to give the school district to stop applying pesticides and herbicides on school properties. Because they were spraying previously without notice.
Did they stop for?
They did pass legislation, so now they have to go to the least toxic option. And then as part of that work, we'd like to educate the general public on how they can have an organic garden and reduce the amount of pesticides that are used on an independent level and lower our Alaska state footprint. I have a background of gardening professionally for 10 years, not mostly in the foods sector, but locally. And Saskia Esslinger is our grand presenter, as well as Tori Smith.
Let's see. My business is Red Edge Design, also known as William Street Farmhouse. That's where our house is. And let's see. My husband does home energy audits, and I do gardening workshops and consultations and tours at our house. So we're just really passionate about living sustainably and helping other people to live more sustainably as well. And yeah, I have a whole list of workshops on a flyer there. If you guys are interested in checking it out, please do. And I was born here in Anchorage and went away to school and traveled a lot, worked for summer on our organic farm, worked in our organic farms and permaculture sites in Central America. I spent some time doing a children's gardening program in Texas, so finally returned home to kind of reset my roots down here and make a difference in this community. So.
My name is Tori Smith. I'm a naturopathic doctor in town. I've been practiced here since '92. I originally got a degree in ecological agriculture from Evergreen State College in 1992, I think, and did some graduate work in integrated pest management at Simon Fraser University in Canada, and then finally figured out that farmers are hard to change. That was going to be a tough living trend because I didn't have 10 years to wait till the farmer next to him would then acquire it. But I've always been interested in food and the effect on people, and I had taken nutrition classes as I had other majors, and I was aware that the food supply was so deficient in everything, and thought, well, then I'll go into learning how to farm and teach farmers and whatnot how to make nutritious food. And then I managed several natural food stores in the 80s, and then eventually went off to naturopathic school in 1988, and then still have a strong interest in food and the effects that it has on people. And I've got some information here that I can give out, and we'll cover whatever we have time for, but a lot of it's in here, both talking about pesticides and the downside of that, and then the upside of having plants be stressed a bit, etc., and they produce all these great chemical phytonutrients that keep us free of cancer and slow aging and that kind of stuff. So I'll cover some of that. And I came up here originally in 1959 when I was 7. And I left Alaska permanently half a dozen times, but you know how that goes. So I just gave up leaving. So I look forward to being part of this group, doing what needs to be done on the earth right now.
So why do we want to start our own seeds? Why are you all here tonight to learn how to start your own seeds?
Cost.
Cost, yeah. It's a big one.
Availability.
Availability, yeah, because you can't find everything that you might want to grow in the nurseries. Sometimes it seems like they always have the same thing. All of them have the same thing.
Most of them, my starts don't turn out as good as I want them to.
Your starts don't turn out that great? Okay, so
Yeah.
you want to learn how to do it better?
I've never noticed, I've never really looked, to see if starts say that they're started with non-GMO seed? They must say, I don't know if they indicate or not.
Yeah, we're gonna talk more about that. Yeah, and that's another thing is chemicals, because most of the nurseries bump up those starts with a lot of non-organics. Because they,
Pesticides to get them started quick.
yeah, and they want to get them looking great. You know, people don't want to buy puny starts. They want to buy starts that are just bursting out of the packets. And usually, yeah, those starts aren't the healthiest. They look healthy, but it's all inside.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, exactly. Any other reason?
Like to watch them grow.
Like to watch them grow? Yeah, it's a kind of like the best thing when I usually go on vacation in January, and right when I come back, I start my first sets of seeds, and it feels so good. I'm like, okay, I know spring's on the way now. All right, anything else you guys can think of? One more thing is that you can stagger out your starts so that they're ready at different times of the year. You know, maybe you want to start some the beginning of summer so they're ready for later planting. So you have more control over when the plants are ready to go out and how they're grown.
Cheaper.
And it's cheaper. Yep, definitely cheaper. Yeah, and you can choose what varieties you want. You know, of different kinds of cabbage or different kinds of, you can get the purple cauliflower, the graffiti kind, or, you know, different kinds of tomatoes. There's a million different kinds of tomatoes that you can try. So it's kind of neat to have something different than the only thing, you know, the same old things that they're offering.
I was hoping to learn more of the varieties that work really well up here versus just, I mean, in the store there's all sorts of stuff, but it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk a little bit about that if we have time.
Especially when you said GMO, I was like, well, how much are we going to get up here and it's going to grow good up here? So I was
Yeah.
curious about that.
Yeah. You're going to talk a little bit about GMOs? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, throwing it out, just fill in around whatever.
Sure, yeah. Well, my understanding is that most of the seeds that you get for your garden are not going to be GMO, because what they're creating GMO seeds for is mostly corn and soybeans and cotton and things like that, like the big agricultural crops. And you'll see a lot on seed packets that says hybrid. And hybrid and GMO are very different. So hybrid just means that they bred two different strains together and to create a new strain. And the hybrid strain has what's called hybrid vigor. It's a very strong plant. A lot of times it's resistant to diseases, and it's a lot sturdier than the two parent varieties. But then if you save the seeds from that hybrid, then it will revert back to one of the parents, but you don't know what you're going to get. So hybrids are fine to plant. You just can't save the seeds from them. So if you're very into saving seeds, or if that's your object, you might want to stay away from hybrids, but most of the time hybrids are fine. So, but that said, you know, a lot of the seed companies are owned by Monsanto. So if you want to avoid that, then that's a whole different issue. Okay, so I think the most important thing you need to know about starting seeds is what to plant when, because you can't start all your seeds in February, because they will, for a lot of seeds that's too long to be growing in a pot, and they'll get root bound. And that means that when you take the plant out of the pot, you see the roots are all wound around as like a solid mass of white, which is how you see a lot of the plants that come from the nurseries. And this is actually really bad for the plants to be that root bound. They're not healthy that way, and a lot of times it's hard for them to recover from that and to grow healthy in your soil. A lot of times they can get really leggy, especially if they don't have enough light. If you start